Hello, welcome. I'm your host, Amber Horton, and today I'll be talking about Media Active Chapters 3 and 4. What I thought was the most interesting thing about these chapters was the part where he was talking about having conversations with journalists and helping hold them accountable and even helping them create their content. More and more people have been having interactions with journalists. This is good because it allows a conversation. I think a lot of times journalists forget about who their audience actually is and that they're real people that want to know things other than maybe the who, what, where, when, and why. And it also has a lot to do with accountability, which is obviously something every journalist must have and something that we've been talking about has been lacking and that Dan definitely thinks has been lacking with traditional media and even sometimes with citizen journalism. I thought a good example was when that writer wrote like a totally false story about him, and then when he contacted him, he like just didn't respond. This obviously is something that like shouldn't be happening with any kind of journalists, whether they're just citizen bloggers or like traditional print or whatever journalists. At least like many people have been doing where they like have a Twitter conversation. My favorite journalist that I follow on Twitter, Nicholas Kristof, always has like conversations back and forth with his readers, or will like tell them that he's hosting some kind of like town hall type of meeting where you can like ask him questions and talk to him. And I think that like also kind of helps with the morale of people these days. Like no one wants to trust the media and no one wants to really interact with them. So having some kind of, I don't know, method of actually getting feedback from both the audience and then the journalist again is really important to keeping people engaged and like believing in the mainstream media. As far as holding people accountable, acknowledging their mistakes is really important. And Gilmore says in here that mainstream journalists are thin-skinned. Insecurity seems almost a precondition to employment in traditional newsrooms, which is something that was really interesting because if you're going to put your name out there, you should be pretty secure about what you're going to say. You shouldn't be worried about what people are going to say about your character if you're proud of what you're doing and you know that it's the right thing. So just having your email address under your print column should be enough to like hold people accountable because they should know that their readers are going to be the ones contacting them saying, hey, this isn't right, or hey, I disagree. You're going to put your name on something, you're holding yourself to a higher standard. And I think a lot of times people have been forgetting that, and especially with, like, he also talked about in here, like, the anonymous commenters that, like, attack people. I mean, when you're not putting your name, you're not holding yourself accountable, and that's part of the problem with so many citizen journalists and so many citizen, like, attackers on people's blogs because they have no standard. To some extent, I think that the bloggers themselves, especially ones that have their name all over their site, are holding themselves to that higher standard, and mainstream journalists should try to follow suit because if you're not proud of what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it.